Welcome to the You World Order Showcase podcast. My name is Jill Hart. I'm the founder of The Empathy Edge, and this show is built for up-and-coming life, health, and transformational coaches who are looking to share their coaching journey, grow their practice to change more lives, and be the change they want to see in the world. If you're an up-and-coming coach and would like to be featured on this podcast to talk about your coaching journey, struggles, and success stories, please visit jointheyouworldorder.com and don't forget to subscribe to get notifications of the daily content. Welcome to the You World Order Showcase program. Today we're speaking with Leslie Rochelle. Leslie is an intuitive leadership mentor, founder of Leslie Rochelle Coaching and Consulting, international best-selling author, mom, lover of nature, coffee, and a healthy dose of learning. She's been in the leadership space for nearly 2 decades. It hasn't always been fun, meaningful, or fulfilling in the slightest. So after seeing a major gap in the leadership arena, Leslie jumped out on her own to support businesses and corporate leaders to develop their soul-led leadership so that they can create a greater impact and watch the exponential growth of their businesses, career, their own lives, and the lives of those they touch. Please help me welcome Leslie to the show. All right, Leslie, welcome to the show. It's so nice to have you here. Tell us all about yourself, what you're doing, who you are.
Thank you very much. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Leslie Rochelle, and I'm a leadership alignment coach / mentor, as well as a consultant for businesses looking to add processes to their businesses as well. I've been really doing this for, it feels like forever, to be honest. It does. And, I spent 15 years within the corporate environment, within the oil and gas industry. So I was one of the first visible female leaders. I was actually the first visible female leader at our site location. And I didn't have the footsteps to follow in. And I went through my own challenges, really getting to that place where I needed to be, and then really being that resource for the other women that were coming up behind me as well. And, really getting into that leadership space and that coaching and mentoring space was really to help the earlier version of myself, because I'm the one that buys into if you have knowledge and somebody is willing to receive it and would like to have it, I will give it to you. If you're not interested, then we won't have that conversation. However, I don't believe that, if I've had a hard time with something, that you should have a hard time with it too. I mean, that's why we have mentors. That's why we have coaches in our lives, to make those transitions easier.
It shortens up the learning curve.
It does.
You're going to pay for it by buying the information, or you're going to pay for it in time by trying to figure it out on your own. And usually It's more expensive when you do the latter.
Oh my goodness. I call it my come to Jesus moment that I really had for myself, being in that space where I came into this heavily male dominated space, trying to figure out, how I was to show up in this space. And I got to the point where I was putting everything into my career, into my job, that I came home and I was absolutely gutted, exhausted, and really knew that something needed to change. My son was really young at that time. I mean, he still is, he's 9. However, really, when he was just a little baby, it was just a matter of, I don't have anything left to give here. And I knew that something needed to change. So this is really where that whole personal development, the responsibility and accountability really came in for myself, and understanding that when I am good, everything around me is good as well. So giving that, I guess that self-care piece to myself is really the thing that allowed me to really thrive, instead of simply surviving. Because at that point in time, I was just surviving, just trying to get through that space.
Boundaries.
Oh my God.
Boundaries are a thing that I'm old. So, when I say that boundaries are a new thing to me, it's like when I discovered what they were and how important they are in our lives, it changed my whole life.
It does. It absolutely does. Because when you can actually put up these things, and it's not like we want to be kind, and we all want to be kind to ourselves first and foremost. We have to make sure that we are good if we want to be good for other people. And when we have the opportunity to say no to something, it means that we're saying yes to something else. And that yes is usually to ourselves. So when we get to put up those boundaries, it really creates a more harmonious aspect to your life as well.
It makes it easier for other people to deal with you too, because they know where the line is drawn.
Correct.
And you can just reinforce it, and you don't have to be nasty about it. It's just like, well, remember how we said that this is the boundary? Well, this is the boundary. You're welcome to come up to the fence. I may wait for you, but unless I'm standing on that fence, we're not having the conversation.
That's right. And, people will bounce up on our boundaries there as well, too, because they want to know how far that they can get. And the only person that's going to allow that line to be crossed is ourselves. So when we can, teach people how to treat us and what is acceptable and what's not acceptable, that ends up being a lot easier when, everybody knows the rules to your game, even if they need to be told a couple of different times in a different way, so that they get a real clear understanding of what that is.
And like I said, it doesn't have to be nasty. And for the longest time, I thought boundaries were like, you're just trying to keep me out. But it's no. I'm just trying to show you how to interact with me in a healthy way for both of us.
Exactly. There's this saying that, treat others how you'd like to be treated, which is absolutely, and speak to other people how you would like to be spoken to, which is absolutely false. You want to treat other people how they like to be treated, and you want to treat other people how they like to be spoken to, as well, too. So really kind of meeting them where their needs are, not just expecting everybody to come to you that way. So once you know better, then you do better, and then you end up having better conversations and relationships with people as well.
Right. So boundaries really help everybody in the conversation or in the community, because everybody knows how to interact with other people. We used to have manners, and manners were designed to make society relatable. You knew what was expected of you at any given time. But since manners have kind of like slid by the wayside, we now have this thing called boundaries. And boundaries are just a way to express individually how we want to be interacted with, but how others, if you can recognize boundaries for yourself, you start to look for the boundaries of other people so that you can interact with them better.
Exactly. Yes.
Interesting sociological development over time. So who's your ideal client? Let's go there.
My ideal client is a business owner or somebody that's within corporate that is looking to really align with the most powerful leader that they have within them, knowing that they can't be anybody else. They can use other people's cues. They can take some of those ideas and try to make them their own. However, we're each here for our own purpose. We're each here for our own message that we're going to be providing. And when we can, when I get to work with somebody that's in that space of, I want to explore what that looks like, they end up becoming a more powerful leader because of it. So whether they're looking from that leadership perspective of leading their lives, or whether they are in an environment where they have people reporting to them, then it is really a matter of how do I align my leadership style with my values, and how it is that I want to show up in the world as well.
Do you help them with their careers specifically? Are you aiming for people that are in like male dominated careers like you were? How does that look?
Not specifically. However, if it's somebody that does want to be able to know how to navigate that landscape whilst bringing forward their individuality that they have, and not really trying to be another one of the guys, right? And really, for the women, it's really important that we find that beautiful balance between the masculine and feminine energies, and knowing where we need to be at any given time, so that we aren't depleting ourselves, because what had happened to me in my space is I was a doer. We were planning. I had a team that reported up to myself, and we were just doing and producing, and it depleted me altogether. So once I figured out how to bring in those extra pieces is when really the team, as well as myself, because they go hand in hand, really started to thrive within that space. And then I inherited a broken team. And so we had to do lots of fixes within that team. And when I was able to show up as my best self, we then created a dream team that other people were like, I want to be on your team. Can I cross train with people on your team? Because they knew that I legitimately cared about them as the human being. And when you can do that and you can provide that space of, I see you, I hear you, and I've created an environment that I'm inviting you into the conversation, your team will always perform better for you. They will always give you more by default because they know you care. And it just kind of, it's when you can get that recipe, when you can figure out what that recipe is for you, for your team, it's a really beautiful, beautiful thing to have.
That's I'm going to say amazing, but I'm just sitting here thinking, man, how many corporations wouldn't benefit from having you speak to their teams, to their team leaders?
Yes, I agree. Bring them on.
There's ways to do that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later, but
Yeah.
wow, I have goosebumps because
Yeah.
it's such a necessary skill that's so lacking in most of corporate America, corporations around the world.
Agreed. It is still heavily, when we look at the leadership landscape, you're lucky if you get into an organization that has 25% women in leadership positions. So, when there was this old way of doing things, and it was more about being a manager or a supervisor, and a leader is something completely different. It's really in a class of its own. And when you get to be in that leadership space, when you get to inspire other people to become the best versions of themselves, while you become the best version of yourself, while kind of leading that vision and that mission that company has, your company will always do better for you. Your attrition will go down because people are going to stay. A lot of people, when they leave companies, they're leaving them because they just don't want to be there. They don't like the environment that they're in. And it really is a behavioral change as to what that leadership space really does look like. It is not simply about telling people what to do or keeping track of the tasks that they have.
When you do that, when you have that model, you miss so much. I believe, and this is really why I have this podcast, that everybody has a unique gift that they're given to help the rest of the world. And when you try to just cram people into a square peg in a round hole example, it just doesn't work because you're not taking advantage of that unique skill. You're not learning what that unique skill is that you probably hired this person to bring to the team, but you just want them to do it your way without thinking outside the box and letting them express what their thoughts are. And this kind of the synergy of all of the thoughts of each of the individuals coming together can make such a huge difference because we're all involved in creation. And it's going to get created. But if you just want a task done, robots. That's what we made them for.
Yeah, have a checklist. And one of the things that I find a little disheartening within corporations and within those larger corporations are they promote somebody because they're really good at their job. So maybe they're that subject matter expert, they're that SME within their area. They have no idea how to lead people. So they're really setting the whole team up, including that leader, to fail when they don't provide them with the appropriate training and mentorship and programs to teach them how to lead. Because it's not just simply about, hey, we're having a morning meeting, this is what we're doing today. However, I do see that being a detriment, because if I'm going to have somebody within my team that I am promoting into a managerial position, I need that person who is really good with people, because that skill set they can learn. right? When you're looking at those interpersonal skills, these are the people that you want to be able to put into those people leadership roles, because you have experts to do the tasks. They're experts in those tasks. You don't need another expert within that higher level leadership role. If you're looking at a technical expert or a technical leader, that's something different. They can be a resource. However, when you're looking to lead people for the greater benefit of the whole, to really be able to cast that vision, create that sense of belonging, which is what everybody wants.
Mhm.
You will end up having so much better relationships as well as production within your company.
I agree. It's interesting watching the shift. It will happen. It can't not happen. Eventually, corporations will figure out that you can't just keep promoting people up. The Peter Principle, it's been around forever, to their level of incompetence. And then they get stuck in the level of incompetence rather than just compensating them for getting better at doing that thing that they do so well, and leave them there. But just keep giving them more money as their experience and their ability to contribute.
That's right.
Adds to the
Your streams should kind of be equal, right? So that leadership position shouldn't just be because I want to make more money or I want to have more power. That's an ego-driven thing.
It's usually that way though in corporations.
Right? Yes. Whereas if you have your two streams to say, okay, here's the people side of things and here's the technical side of things. So you can both, I'm going to say grow with the company, right?
Yeah.
And be able to have those higher levels of pay rates as well as the accolades, whatever it is that you're looking for, instead of just saying this is the only way to get there. You have to get into a leadership position. When that happens, it really creates some competition that's not amazing to be around, right? Within that space. However, if your leader doesn't know that, and your leader hasn't been able to mentor and provide you with valuable feedback to help you grow, then that person just simply doesn't know, right? They only know what they know unless they have that person that's able to say, okay, hey, here's I'd love to be able to provide you with some feedback on this, and you must be providing the good as well as the not so good, like the more of those corrective actions as well too.
Wow.
I care about you enough to talk to you about this and say, this is something that needs to change. And so many people are so afraid of giving that feedback that they just shy away from it. However, it's really at a detriment to themselves as well as the individual, because the individual has no idea.
It goes back to boundaries again.
That's right.
You know, this is what I expect of you. And I would like to hear what you expect from us. And you work together.
Yeah, leadership is when you look at the coaching space, it is a relationship coaching space. So leadership is really all about building your network, building relationships, building the relationships with your team as well. And when you know how to do that, then there's going to be a lot more opportunities for you as well. So that you can then not be afraid, right, to do your succession planning so that you can provide that guidance for somebody else coming up within your organization, because you have other goals that you want to be able to achieve as well.
Right. And it's finding the people that really want to do that rather than just promoting somebody into that place because they're there, or they feel like they've put in the time, so they earned it.
Those are that's a bad recipe.
Yeah, it's a terrible recipe.
Yeah.
I think it happens in the coaching space sometimes when people just want clients so badly that they're just like, they're not really looking for what's helping the client so much as they're just needing to have some reassurance that they have value of themselves.
That's right. And it's that matter of, is it something, am I teaching it because it's something that I simply want to teach, or am I teaching and guiding someone because it's what they need? They can be two very different things.
Yeah. And speaking to the people that really need what you have to offer is also really important.
Yes.
In the whole message that you're giving.
Absolutely.
So What's your biggest struggle? What's the thing that you wish you could change, like waved your magic wand?
There's some things I find that within, that marketing space is icky. Some people say, just talk about the pain points about, how somebody is feeling. And I'm like, but I want to talk about the good stuff, versus just about, life could be better if you just stopped doing this and started doing this. And really being able to say, here's the vision and here's the light of what life could look like. And that's some of the piece, or, randomly DM strangers, knowing that there is an ulterior motive associated with it. Everybody's gotten those friend requests, and then 2 minutes later, somebody's in your DMs trying to get on a call with you about something. It's that I find a little disheartening, and it's, again, with that ulterior motive behind it, it's not something that I like to be able to do. So it's a matter of providing that communication. I have a belief that I'm energetically connected to those who will learn the best from me. You will have yours. The next person's going to have theirs. And so it's really finding that right recipe that works, that really works for me, is probably
being in
the
alignment
biggest
with
struggle.
who you are and what feels good to you.
Yes.
Versus having to do all these entrepreneurial things that, I think we were talking about it before. It's
Yeah.
like, I didn't become a coach so that I could be an entrepreneur and have to like make money.
Yes. Well, and I mean, if you're in the entrepreneurial space, there is this desire that you have, that there is going to be some financial necessity in order to help facilitate, to be able to facilitate that, but doing it in a way that actually feels good, I think is really, really, really important, because I can always tell when somebody's reaching out to me, that what their motives really are. They're not just sending me a message to simply send me a message to get to know me at all. It's really a matter of, jump into my this and jump into my that and download this and whatever. It's like, do I need it? You don't even know if I need it, because you haven't even asked me any questions. So again, it's about that relationship development piece.
Yeah. And talking to the people that really can benefit from what you're doing, rather than just like randomly talking to strangers who you have no idea.
That's right. That's right. One of the things that I actually found coming into this space is I see leadership in a very different view than many other people will see it. And there's a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs who don't even resonate with the word leadership. And to me, it's, well, you're leading your life as well as you are leading your business, you're leading your company, you're leading your coaching, whatever that actually is. However, the term leadership, it gets often confused with management or supervisory or something like that. So that's one of the
Dictatorship.
that dictatorship. Yeah, we don't like those.
They're not the same.
They are absolutely not the same. And I think it's something that we see within our own, our own personal lives. We see it, with different people. Sometimes it's family. We see it within our communities. We see it within our organizations. We see it within our governments, really as well too. So, being in that leadership space with that, I like to call it that soul-led leadership area is about doing the right thing. And it's not doing the right thing for you, it's doing the right thing for the whole. Right. And sometimes
it's more like shepherding rather than
yes,
the commonly used phrase of leadership.
Yes.
That presupposes that you're in front, but shepherds generally are in the back, pushing the flock.
That's right. And that kind of goes to the concept of Leaders Eat Last, by Simon Sinek. So that's a really great book for anybody who's actually looking to, have their next read on leadership itself. And some people confuse authority with leadership. You can be in an authoritative position, does not by default make you a leader. Right.
And people tend to the dictator side because they're very poor leaders, and it's just easier to say, do this, instead of, let's look at the group of solutions that we can all come up with and see how they could work together to
That's right.
create something really beautiful rather than just your vision that
That's
we
right. And
haven't really caught a hold of,
yeah,
apparently.
and there's a lot of fear associated to that as well too. It's like, when you're asking for other people's opinion, never give yours first. That will cut off the conversation. So you always want to ask, especially within your team environment, if you're looking for that innovation piece, ask everybody else first before you actually provide them with what you think is a really great solution, because you may have changed your mind 4 times within that conversation. However, you do have to create that space that allows people to feel comfortable to be able to provide you with that feedback all at the same time.
Yeah, and a safe space within the group, because sometimes people are like, my idea is the only idea.
That's right.
No, it's not. It's one idea of all of these ideas that are here. Let's
That's right.
hear them all.
Yeah, ask questions, and it's the leader's responsibility to facilitate that. So there's not that one person that speaks all the time and doesn't allow anybody else into that conversation. Because you can be the type of leader that will tell people what to do and they're going to do that. They're not doing any more though. Or you can be the one that actually says, hey, do you want to explore a little bit more in this area? Really care about what they do, have those conversations. They will always give you more. By default, they'll give you more. When you say, I believe in you, and maybe you are the one that is actually breathing that belief into them, they will always give you more. When you were there to, again, to be able to be that motivator for them to become a better version of themselves, by default, always will give you more.
Works with kids too.
It does. It does. Yep.
And asking their opinions and really listening to what they have to say. And I've learned so much from my kids.
That's right.
Just doing that.
Yeah. And never ask why, ever. Remove the question why from your vocabulary. The why question tends to put people on the defensive. So you're going to really limit the type of conversation and the ideas generated within that conversation. So always open it up with, instead of why did you do that? How did you come to that conclusion? There's a different energy that's really associated to it. That why is I'm closed. Whereas how did you come to that decision? What was your decision-making process? What were the factors that led you to that? You're going to have a lot better conversation than you will if you just ask, why'd you do that?
And what was the story that led to that experience?
That's right.
How did we get in this situation?
Yeah. Tell me a little
As
bit more.
The police
about
officer is knocking on my bedroom door at 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's right.
With my son in tow.
Tell me more about this. I'm curious.
I'll save it for another time. I don't want to embarrass my son. Who just became a father, and I reminded him of that.
Yeah, they always wish they had the, you as a child again. Right? The mini you. Oh boy.
Yeah. That's kind of how it goes. Well, Leslie, what is the one thing that you would like to leave our audience with?
I'm going to leave with, just going off the last little bit that we said there about curiosity. Really look at, where you currently are at, and get curious about where you're at and where it is that you would like to go. We can get to know somebody else by asking them a million questions, and we're often afraid to ask those same questions to ourselves because we don't know we may not know what the answer is, or we're afraid of what that outcome or that response will be. So do gift yourselves with the opportunity of really asking yourself some really great thought-provoking questions that allow you to really feel into, where am I at right now? Am I satisfied with where I'm at right now? Is there something else that I want? What it is, what is it that I want? What are the reasons behind that? So that you can find that goal that you can work towards, that can be that North Star for you. Have some goal within your life, even if it's a small goal that you consider a small goal, so that you are working towards something. There's a greater purpose and a path for each and every one of us. So it's a matter of feeling into and finding out what yours is.
That's so beautiful. So how can people get in touch with you?
The easiest, best way to get in touch with me is simply to use the contact form on my website. I get that quicker than I get any of the other ones because the rest can get a little messy. So using the contact form is the best way to get a hold of me.
Perfect. And we'll put the link for that in the show notes below. Thank you so much for joining us, Leslie. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you very much. I've had a
For
great time
listening
here
to the
today.
You World Order Showcase program. I hope today's episode has inspired you to consider how you can leverage your unique skills and talents to be the change you want to see in the world. Be sure to subscribe to the daily episodes. Here are 3 ways I can help you in your coaching practice for free. 1, if you're a coach just starting out, you can head over to heartlifecoach.com/PTP invite. If you're an up-and-coming coach and would like to be featured on the podcast, please visit jointheyouworldorder.com. And finally, if you're feeling scattered and lack focus, I invite you to hop on a call with me to get some clarity, strategy, and resources to get your practice back on track to reach the most people without feeling salesy. You can find that link at heartlifecoach.com/E. We will see you on the next podcast.